Homework checker for Wednesday. First question, 437 divided by 6. So if you're solving this using partial quotients, I'm going to create my cheat sheet to figure this out. So 1 times 6 is 6, 2 times 6 is 12, 5 times 6 is 30, 10 times 6 is 60, 20 times 6 is 120, 50 times 6 is 300, 100 times 6, 600. So if you notice, there's always a little pattern going on there. So how many times can 6 go into 437? Well, I can see here it can go in at least 50 times. So 50 groups of 6 equals 300. So when I subtract that out, 7 minus 0 is 7. 3 minus 0 is 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. So now, how many times can 6 go into 137? Well, if I look up here, 20 times 6 is 120. And that's close to 137 without going over. So 20 groups of 6 is 120. Subtract that out. 7 minus 0, 7. 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. How many times can 6 go into 17? Now that should be a quick fact that we know off the top of our head. So thinking 6 times 1 is 6, 6 times 2 is 12, 6 times 3 is 18, too big. So 6 can go into 17 2 times. 2 times 6 is 12. Now we subtract. 7 minus 2, 7, 6, 5. 1 minus 1 is 0. 6 cannot go into 5, so we're all done. And this is going to be our remainder. So we add our sidebar numbers up. 50 plus 20, 50, 60, 70, plus 2, 72. Remainder of 5. Now if you're solving that traditionally, you can go about it the same way. Can 6 go into 4? No, it cannot. Can 6 go into 43? Yes, it can. How many times? 7 times. So, put a 7 here. 7 times 6 is 42. We subtract that out. 43 minus 42 is 1. Then we bring down our 7. How many times can 6 go into 17? Twice. 6 times 2 is 12. Subtract that out. Get a remainder of 5. So whichever strategy you're using to solve this, please make sure you're showing your work. Which list contains only common multiples of 3 and 4? Keyword in this question, multiples. That means we skip count. So we're going to skip count by 3 and 4. So let's do that. Skip count by 3. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36. Now we're going to skip count by 4s. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40, 44, 48. So now we're going to look at this list and figure out what is listed in both of these numbers. So what's the numbers that they have in common? Well, they don't both have 3. They both don't have 6. They both don't have 4. They both don't have 8. They do both have 12. They don't have 9. They don't have 15. They don't have 16. They don't have 18. They don't have 20. They don't share in common 21. They do both have 24. They both don't have 28. They both don't have 27 or 30 or 32, but they do both have 36, I see. So let's look at these common multiples and see what they both have over here. So I could see they have 12, 24, 36. So which answer over here best matches what they both had in common that we circled and showed our work? D. 12, 24, 36. If there were 6 bags of rocks, each bag had 16 rocks in it. If Destiny painted 50 rocks, how many rocks were left to paint? So this is a multi-step word problem that's requiring us to do 2 computations. The first computation, we have to figure out how many rocks we have total. So we have 6 bags with 16 rocks in each bag. So I could add this up, or I can multiply. 16 times 6. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 1 is 6. 7, 8, 9. So I have 90 total rocks. But that's not what the information's asking us. It's saying Destiny painted 50 of them. How many does she have left? So I'm going to subtract the 50 from here because that's how many she's painted. I have to figure out how many are left to paint. How many does she need to paint? 6 minus 0 is 6. 9 minus 5, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. So there are 46 rocks left to paint. So this answer, C. Make sure you're showing your work. Which is equivalent to 2 divided by 6? So there is a fraction that can be read 2 divided by 6. So this says 2 minus 6. 2 divided by 6. 6 divided by 2. 6 times 2. Best answer is 2 divided by 6. Okay. Social studies. Why would an African American living in the colonies during the Revolutionary War help the British? So, what did the British promise them that if they fought for the British, that the African Americans would gain what? A, the British offered him freedom. B, the British were willing to pay him a salary. C, the British offered to send him back to Africa after the war. So what did he promise him that all African Americans really wanted during this time period? Matter of fact, everybody wanted this during this time period. That's why they were fighting for. Number 2, what was the main effect of the Battle of Yorktown? So, we've got to know that the Battle of Yorktown was a really important time period of the Revolutionary War. This is where the war ended, and it all happened in Virginia. So, what happened there? How did it end? A, it convinced colonists to move the capital to Richmond. B, it resulted in the surrender of the British and the end to the Revolutionary War. C, it resulted in the surrender of the Confederate forces and an end to the Civil War. D, it forced Lord Dunmore, the last royal governor, to leave Virginia. So you got to think of which war this had a major effect on. Number 3, what was the main effect of the Battle of Great Bridge? So, you've got to know information about the Battle of Great Bridge. You have to know this is where the Revolutionary War started, and that it was in Virginia as well. So, what happened at that Battle of Great Bridge? A, it convinced colonists to move the capital to Richmond. B, it resulted in the surrender of the British and an end to the Revolutionary War. C, it resulted in the surrender of Confederate forces and an end to the Civil War? Or D, it forced Lord Dunmore, the last royal governor, to leave Virginia? Make sure you're showing your work.